right. I'm a few minutes early. I'll let everybody get in. I'm going to pull up chat. I hate when it won't refresh. I'm going to do this journal page on a bag. There we go. On a bag. I thought I muted my phone. All right. So the other day I did this journal page on a vinyl bag. So I thought today that I would take another finished, just for something different to do, that I would take another finished journal page and interpret that on a bag. And I still have this paper that I used. So, hey, Julie. So the first thing I did, and I did kind of jump forward a little, is I kind of analyzed, trying to remember what stencils I used. I didn't like the stencil I used on the first layer, so I changed that up. Then I know that I used this Wisteria stencil. And then I know I used this one that I hand cut. I think I might add a little bit of chevron in there possibly. So I have 4 stencils set aside that I'm going to use. And I went ahead and I wanted to add possibly some sewing tissue paper in the background. And so I went ahead and sprayed those with Delusions Oxide and put a little matte medium on top of them so they wouldn't bleed. So I could use those later. And the colors that I used of the Distressed Oxide are Fossilized Amber, Spice Marmalade, Abandoned Coral, and Seedless Preserve. And that was kind of what I sort of know that I use for the most part in the back. I know I had like pink and purple spray, and then I came back and hit it with some yellow. So I know that that's very similar to the original page. And then I like to work on medical tissue, and I have a pattern that I go ahead and I cut. And all I do is I get the medical tissue folded in half so it's going to fit on the bag. And once I get that folded in half, I trim off this side so that it's even. Because what I'll end up doing is I'll glue this down and fold this in and then glue that up on the bag. But that way I can work off of it, off the bag. So what I did with this earlier is, this is the original side. I sprayed the oxides. I did use the pads a little bit too, but I got the ink on and I used a very wet layer of matte medium on it. And when you do the Distressed Oxide on the tissue, the side that you do the Distressed Oxide will be dull. But if you look at the back of your tissue, it will be more vibrant. And so sometimes I use the back side of the tissue because it's more vibrant. So there is a coat of the matte medium on both sides of this, just so as we work, it won't bleed. And I'm just going to stick some deli paper in the middle so that when I'm working on this side, it doesn't bleed through to the back. So my first layer, I'm going to start with this stencil right here from Stencil Girl. It's S349, and I'm just going to use this side. And I'm going to use a combination of quinacridone red, quinacridone magenta, and quinacridone gold. And I'm using the DecoArts media line. I like its transparency. Hi, Dot. Hi, Kat. Hi, Joycey. Hi, Lena. Lena, your journals turned out really cool. Love all those ideas. The frame's going to be really neat. So I'm just going to pounce through this stencil. And I'm kind of just looking for a little bit of a tone-on-tone type. And then I'm just going to turn the stencil. Lena, I was going to ask you, did you see that I was talking to Kathy and Colleen and Eileen yesterday? I had seen a Facebook post of Ingrid, and she had taken the side of her journal and she had wired. Let me show you all a picture of it. She had wired buttons. They said you did it with beads. I forgot to ask you. Can y'all see how she wired the side of her pages with buttons? I can turn it there. You can see a little better. Now it looks like it might be thick, like a chipboard possibly. But I just love that idea. If you took 2 or 3 pages glued together to make it, you know, a little heavier to support that. But this is all the same color of buttons. And then another one has just like a blanket stitch. And then this one is just a wire. She's just put little holes. And I just thought it was so neat. They said you did something similar with beads. Yeah, I think it looks so cool. Ingrid is so talented. Hi, Jan. Well, I think that that she probably laid it pretty flat when she wired it, and that the taunt that should help it stay flat, I would think. Oh, great, Jan. Well, I still have button bags, so I'm thinking about keeping one of them and doing something like that on Journal 3. I didn't glue any pages together in Journal 3. All I've done in Journal 3 is done some doodles. It's Ingrid. I'll put, let's see, give me a second, Joycey. I'll put a copy of the link. I don't know who got the dolphin buttons. There were little dolphin beads. I don't know. They may still be in one of those bags. I'll look later if they are. You can have, I mean, they're just two little, they're just as a little pink and a little green one. I think they're still here. I'll look later, Joycey. If I find them, I can send them to you. All right, so I'm going to let that be the first layer there. Let me make myself a note so I don't forget. And I'll look after the stream. All right, so I'm just going to flip this over and do the same thing on the back. I need a little more of the quinacridone gold. Hi, Joan. Maybe, but if you get that wire taut enough, I've crocheted with wire and beads before. You could also possibly, once you got it wired, put little dabs of some kind of glue, like where the buttons touch, to help. My guess is she worked all the way down one row and then came back and started working back up the row, would be my guess. But I know I have wire in my jewelry stuff still. The colored wire and some thin gold. I know I have some thin gold wire that would work fairly well, I believe. And I'm not too worried about this being like smeared or anything, because this is just a background layer of stencil work, and a lot of this will get covered up. And I'm just using a makeup sponge. Hi, Di. This is medical tissue that I put a layer of distressed ink, and I put some matte medium on both sides. I normally don't matte medium both sides, but I'm going to add layers, and I don't want, when I go to seal it, I don't want the oxides to move. They did that the other day on me a little bit. So I just wanted to kind of seal it in. So I just put the sprays and then used really watered down matte medium to blend them on the tissue. And I did one side and then dried it. And then I used the deli paper in the middle. And that kept it just fine. It wanted to stick a little bit to that deli paper, but for the most part, if I just peel very carefully, I didn't have any problems after I dried it, pulling it up. It didn't tear. I just worked really gentle and kept it really wet. Yeah, I bought a roll off. Joycey turned us on to that. I bought a roll off of Amazon. And it wasn't very expensive, and I've had that same roll for over a year now. I just like it before the bags. Oh, I didn't add any sewing tissue. I'm going to add some sewing tissue to this. So I'll probably use the same stencil. Okay. So I'm going to flip that back over because I wanted some. Let's just do this real quick. I'm going to add some of this stencil over the sewing tissue, and then I'll tear it. I just want the parts that you see the text mostly. And this is for some kind of folk art stuff, so it's got lots of small pieces, so I liked it. It was like a applique pillow pattern. Okay, so there's that piece of tissue. Now one other piece of sewing tissue. I'm just focusing mainly on the places where there's text, because that's the parts that I'll end up using. I haven't gone over and checked it out, but I did see that Stencil Girl posted another video today, but I haven't watched it yet. Okay, so let's take I was going to tear this in some smaller pieces. I can use Okay, I like those. I'll save these little bits and use them somewhere else. I'll probably stamp on them. Just 3 pieces. It's on Facebook. All the ones I've seen. Now, usually they'll put a link in Instagram the next day. But I've been watching all of them in Facebook. If you just put Stencil Girl products, I think that's how they'll come up in because I just follow it in Facebook, so it comes up in my feed. But I'm pretty sure if you put Stencil Girl products, that's how you'll find them. If you just search in Facebook. But she's done, this is like 24. She's done like, she's in the 20s, almost maybe approaching the 30s. She's been doing them the whole time we've been quarantined. All right, and I don't think I'm going to use this. I don't like it's a little too hardish. All right. And this is when I want to add my scrapbook pieces too, and I've torn all of those. Because this is going on a bag, I think I'm going to spray these and get it. I think I'm going to spray it and get it a little wet, so the paper's a little more pliable. I'm missing a specific piece of the paper. On the floor. All right. So I know I want this here. I'm looking at the left side of the journal page. I should have had more yellow over here. I know I want that there. And I know I want this over here on the side. I think I want that little print there. All right. Sorry, I'm getting quiet. I'm going to put this over there. That'll get that a little bit more yellow again. And then I'll put that over there. I'll save those other pieces for the back. Hi, Sam. Hi, Mary Kay. All right. And like I said, I already sealed in the Distress Oxide, so it shouldn't bleed on me too much, if at all. A little bit, maybe. I'm seeing. but not too bad. Put all this sewing tissue down. And then I'm going to add this layer. And by getting that wet, it's far more pliable because I really want to meld these together and lose that stiffness of that really thick scrapbook paper since I'm going to put it on the bag. And like I said, I do have a layer of deli. All right, I'm going to dry that real quick. All right. And just kind of making sure that it's not really like stuck to that deli. And then what I'm going to leave that deli in the inside, but I'm going to grab 2 other pieces of deli. Because when I flip this over, I don't want it to stick to my table or get gunked up because it's still a little tacky. All right, let's put that over here. And let's put this. All right, and I'm going to let this fold back over onto this other side. I think I want to put those 3 pieces on first. This will just give me some text. Could stamp it too with a text stamp. And then I'll fold that over in a minute. All right, and then I know this is matching this side now. So again, I'm going to get this paper wet. Some of these fold over, so I'm not going to worry about. This is the flap that folds in. So I've come in a little bit. Do that right there. To make sure there's glue under both. And later on, I'll probably even use the art glitter glue just to make sure that the bottoms of these are secured. Okay. All right, I'm not going to use any more paper. I'm going to stick with what was kind of on the original design. All right, let me dry real quick, and then we'll do this little piece, and we'll be ready to do the next layer of paint, which will be the white paint. See, I can see this right here already wants to lift. So I'll just add a little bit of that right there, which I know I need to do on the other side too. And I want to glue that down. That overlap right here, I want to glue down. And you'd think that this was too delicate, but after it has this layer, now this is 2 layers of the matte medium. This becomes almost like a soft mulberry paper. It's actually quite sturdy. I'm gonna flip it over. And I'm just going to let it kind of hang down. It's open. I'm just going to let it kind of hang off the table. I know that there's a little areas here that might need tacking down. Well, maybe not. Okay. I already lost one of the pins to this thing, and I have no idea where it went. I'm hoping the trash can so I won't step on it later. All right, I'm going to put these away because I'm done with the Distress Oxide. But these are the colors I used again. I used Fossilized Amber, Spice Marmalade, Abandoned Coral, and a little bit of Seedless Preserve. Okay. So now I'm going to use paint. I'm just going to use a white paint. And I'm going to use the Wisteria stencil. Now, there's several Wisteria stencils on Stencil Girl. Don't ask me which one I bought. I think there's like 3 of these. And Beach Grass. There's several that, and they come in different sizes. They have them in the 4x4, the 6x6, the 9x12, and a 12x24. They are a really good organic stencil. So I'm just going to take the white and put a little bit of white out. Oh, yeah? Yeah, I like the colors. They're bright. And then it's going to have that little pop of turquoise in there. So I'm going to get it. Okay, and I'm going to start right about here. And I'm just kind of looking at my original. And going for the gist of it. Not, I mean, it's not going to be identical. It's very, very close, but and I'm going over the seam of the bottom. So there'll be some continuity. All right, and then I'm going to take my wet baby wipe and kind of soften where I left the stencil. Then I'm going to come in. Get a little more. To connect it. And I just want to work in little sections because I want to be able to now this is wider than my original piece because the original piece was like a regular page vertical, and this is a horizontal. So definitely have to kind of improvise in the layout a little bit. I want some of that in there. because that's where that turquoise is going to go. So it'll pop a little with that white. And then I think I'll carry it off the side over here. And then even down here a little bit. And I'll make it come onto the next page. So that'll give me it'll make it kind of continue. So now I'll flip it. So I can sort of see where the white is. And I'm going to bring the white there. Just soften that. And then I'll make it pick up. Across. Here and go off. And I am picking up a little Distress Oxide here and there, but I like that, how that's making some of the white go more yellow. So I don't have any problems with that. And I'm looking at my original and how it kind of came up and then back around. So kind of think like a backward S. So I'm going to connect. I'm going to need more white. And the other thing, if I've got too many squares of white, the other thing I found that I can do with these stencils is if I need to, I can come back in with like the original stencil and the original color and come in where you have a big patch of white if I want. And that helps too. There are, I wouldn't get a bunch of them. If it were me, like, I kind of wish I'd gotten the 4x4 coming. I like the fact that I wouldn't want 3 of them in the 6x6, but I wouldn't mind them in different sizes to get different scales of the stencil. But I wouldn't get like multiples of them because they're very similar in that sense. We were talking, Joycey, you might want to do this. If you took an old craft mat and a glue gun And on half the craft mat, you just did some wiggly glue and then fold the craft mat over the glue to kind of flatten it. You could make a similar stencil with glue. You know, a scribble stencil. But I'm really liking the more organic stencils, and the idea of playing with them and using them not in their entirety, or, you know, just looking at them differently, if that makes sense. All right, so like I want to add a little bit right in here. But I have really learned a lot by paying attention to Mary Beth's videos, and how to see the stencil differently. Okay, I think I am happy. That used up all the white. So I'm pretty happy with that. So let me fold this. So this will be the front, and this will be the back. Now I'm getting enough layers that I probably don't need to keep the deli in the middle, but I just like that extra protection. All right. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. All right. So really all I need to do, okay, I want more yellow up here because I really like that brightness. You know what there was that I don't have? There was a piece of yellow ledger paper. That's part of the difference, why that was so much brighter. So the question is, do I want to put white paint and put some yellow Distress Oxide? Or do I want to find some ledger paper? Let's see if we can find a piece of ledger paper in our scraps. So this will take just a minute. I thought I had pulled everything. If I don't find it here quickly, I know where I can probably pull another sheet of it, something similar. that might work. Because it's not the same, but it is very similar. There is also, what did I do? This is music paper. From the same. Let's put that in there. And I'm even going to brighten it up with the yellow. Real quick. Because that's the wild honey. Because that, I like that pop of yellow that's in there. And then I'm going to take the original stencil and put a little bit of the quinacridone gold. Yeah, that gives me that pop of bright that I had. That was right in here. Get that paper wet. Oh, I love my Timmy one that I got that was houndstooth. I wasn't ordering the houndstooth. It came in that set that I got. I was trying to get the numbers that were in, and then that set had that houndstooth, which was a bonus. See, and that went a little green where the turquoise was, but it's fine. All right, let me dry that real quick. Okay, what I'm going to do is take that same yellow and just try to blend it a little. Like, I don't care if it goes over that white paint. And then I'm going to take a little bit of the coral and put a little bit of the coral on the, just on the edge. Just to kind of soften that. Trim that little piece hanging there. I'm not going to worry about these little pieces hanging off the end yet. All right. Now, when I did the original, I used the Distress ink through the stencil, but I know what'll happen when I go to glue it. It will disappear and come off. So I think I'm going to just go with paint this time. So I think I'm just going to use a little Indian turquoise. And if we go back to the original, I had some coming down here, down in this corner, and then I'm going to put some over in here, but not as much. And this is a stencil that I don't remember. I cut myself of different hexagon shapes. Well, then I'm going to come over with a second coat in some places. Okay, and then I'm going to come in and take a wet baby wipe and clean up any little areas. My sponge kind of overshot. All right, Friday I'll stream at the same time. However, next week I go back for school. So I don't know what time our training is. So I definitely won't be streaming at 3 p.m. I know that. I'll just have to announce what time next Tuesday. Because it's until I know when. Let's see. Until I know what time they're making us do training, it's really hard to commit to something. The training is online, so I don't have to travel to DFW anywhere, so that's good. Right now, in my county, it is online until September the 28th. Kids start August 17th, but there are counties in Texas, like my friend in Wichita Falls, that they have kids in the classroom. Just up the road in Louisville, they have in-person classes. But our numbers are high in Dallas-Fort Worth, so our counties, health departments said no, which I was grateful for. And then we'll see. Yesterday, they told me when I went in to get my laptop that they figured the square footage of the rooms, they would have to move my furniture out and move other desks in because I have 8 tables. And they figured that I could have 13 kids in my room, period. So, and that's with desks. They would move my tables out of the room and put them in storage till later. And they didn't say what kind of PPE or dividers right now that they're purchasing. They're waiting still because it changes every day what the requirements are. And now that they have finally kind of conceded that, oh yeah, kids from 10 and up transmit just like adults, I'm glad they're taking it serious. Since that's all my campus has. So I don't know how middle school, like I haven't even seen anything like how the online learning is going to be this time. I know it's going to be more rigorous. I don't know if they're going to try to make us do real-time classes or pre-recorded is going to still be okay. So I don't know what that requirement will look like either. I'm hoping we don't do real time just because I found that there were not very many kids that worked during the day. A lot of them worked at night. Also, if you have more than one child in a house, they might be sharing a device. So I don't know how realistic that is either. But I know they will have to get on that computer. Okay, I like that there. And then I think I'll do a little bit above and below over here. Which is perfect because I'm just about out of paint. On the table, not in the bottle. Okay, I want to all right, I like that. All right, so that finishes that up. I had gotten the chevron out, thinking I might add some chevron, but I don't think so. I think I like it. The kids that, yes, but they only issue, my school is only going to, right now, from what I understand, they're only issuing one device per family. That's what they did last time. I have not seen anything about the state of Texas providing Wi-Fi, computers, Our governor really wants us to go to school. Period. End of story. That's it. That's what he wants. All right. So I think that mimics the original pretty good. I'm happy with it. It's a little brighter because, like I said, I used the backside of the Distressed Oxide. Okay, so now I have my washi already picked out. Now it's about attaching this to the bag. So let me move a few things here real quick. Just to try to create a little more room where I'm at. Okay. The other day I used the Yes paste to attach it to the bag, and I really liked that. So I'm going to get rid of the deli paper. This is the back. I'm going to give that a little bit of a dry. I'll look at it in a minute, Dot, when we're all done. Okay. I'm going to fold that in for just a minute. And I'm going to fold this in. Right now, I just want to keep my glue right here in the middle. So I'm taking an old, get a different card. An old Starbucks card will work. All right, so what I'm going to do is just take a dollop and I'm going to just scrape across using even pressure. Being generous. I definitely want paste at the top. And I'm gonna put a little extra paste down here at the crease. Okay, then I'm gonna take the bag. And I'm gonna set that bag down. It's going to have washi at the top. Making sure there's, all right. Now I'm going to take and add glue to these little flaps and fold that over. Then I'm going to take and add glue over here and fold that over. Okay, and now I'm going to add glue to this paper. I'm just going to kind of stand that up out of my way. And I'm holding the paper on the side and making sure that I don't tear, but I want glue everywhere. Okay. All right, so now what I'm going to do, and I'm going to start from the bottom. And kind of walk it. And then work my way up and out. Again, I'm not worried about the top. Now I have some choice here. I can tear or just adhere it with some glue. And I'm probably going to just add some. I varnish these, so I would rather wrap those edges around. Sometimes I tear it. It depends what I'm doing. If I think it's going to stay glued. But I could come in and just very carefully trim some of that back. Just trying to make sure that those are glued down. That's just a little Yes Paste on a brush. Which will be super sticky, but like I said, I'll get my brush in there just a little bit. Dot, I'm not upset about this empty space. I kind of like it. Maybe a little white right in here, maybe, but I kind of like it. All right, let me put that up. Let me hit this with the gun. I'll show you in just a second. Got a piece over here trying to not lay down. All right, that's the front, and I'm good with that. That's the back. Dot thinks it's too bare in here. We could add a little more white here and there. We put the Yes Pace up. For the moment. I lost the white paint. There it is. What I varnish it with is this spray. I give it a very good coat of this spray to seal everything. And then when I come back in to dry it, I make it sit open. I keep it open when I'll show you in a minute how I prop it up when I go between stages. Let's do this. Okay, and then let's take a baby wipe. Pull back here. I don't want those to connect. Okay, and then maybe connect this just a little bit. I still think that's too much over here. Well, there's a little bit. That broke it up. Yeah, this is the wisteria. One of the wisteria. There are several of them at Stencil Girl. All right, so now we're going to take, I got to get rid of that white paint or I'll have it everywhere. Now we're going to take the washi tape. And I'm going to use the art glitter glue. And I'll make sure that this is down on the, like it's wanting to pop up. So I'm just making sure it's down on the edges. Adding a little extra glue at the top. It's going to have washi over it. That washi is not going anywhere. All right, and then I'll flip it. Do the same over here and see if there's any pieces that are flip it again. And I'm going to trim it with scissors. I've got a few pieces right here that didn't want to stick on the side. I should have just tore it smaller. I'm just going to pull it back gently. And it's done. So what I'll let this do, see y'all, there we go. I almost lost that pen again. What I'll do is I'll let this sit and dry overnight before I spray it. But I tend to dry it like that. And I just let it sit on a bottle. And I'll let it sit in the middle of the table with nothing touching it. Let it dry. And then I'll spray it and I'll come back and put it on here. I'm almost done, Shauna. So you're... All right, let me show you where I'm at with this real quick. I have all of the pages inked. So there are no pages without ink. I have almost all of the pages with bits of scrapbook paper covered on them. All I have left to do I matted these with, I used the matte medium and I put paper between them, but it's humid this week. And in the between the blue and the green, I couldn't decide what to do, so I did some combos. Loving this combo. It's the Blueprint Rusty Hinge and Red Brick. Ooh, loving it, loving it, loving it. Even some speckled egg occasionally. So I did several of those. Then it goes back into the blue greens. So the only thing I have left is I have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I have 8 pages that don't have any scraps on them. I did browns and neutrals in the back. So I need to just put scrapbook paper here. And then I'm ready to go through the first round with the stencil using the thinner paints, which is good because I'm using up these paints as before they go bad. I have 6, 7 more stencils coming from Stencil Girl. So I just was trying to find different papers. I haven't dug through. I did a whole bunch one night. This is what I've been doing when other people are streaming, is digging through the paper and finding something that I like. I started adding some word pages sections too on some of them. Yeah, I don't think I finished. Oh yeah, I did. I take that back. I lied. I finished this one. Loving the paint chips, so I am going to use some paint chips too, because it's one of my favorite things to use. I need to get some more. But I added the light blue and the dark blue to this, and then the paint chips. Then I added we did this on the last stream. I added the circles to this. It's probably hard to see on camera, but I added this paper, and then I added some circles just to tie it together a little. I still haven't done anything with that one because I don't know what I want to do. It's back here. It's in the yellows, I bet. Now I added some more to another one that I didn't like. That's weird. It's got to be up here because it was in the front of the book. I added a paint chip and finished another one that was ugly. It's got to be in here. Here it is. And I like how this one came out. I added the numbers in white, and then I added a yellow paint strip over here, and then I added these fish that I had just randomly a piece with these colorful fish, and now I'm happy with it. Hi, Patsy. Hi, Judah. Hi, Josie. I leave my chat, Josie. I always leave my chat because I like to look at the chat when I watch the replays, because sometimes if you're hearing only one side of the conversation, you don't understand what was asked or what's going on. I just like to go back and scan it as I'm watching the replay myself. So that's where I'm at. And then I think as I finish a few more, I think I'm going to turn a few more into bags. I like the idea of taking something from the journal and translating it onto a bag. So what I'll do is let this dry and spray it, and then I'll list this in my Etsy shop. So I do like that kind of, if I have the stuff. If I like this one, I couldn't do because I know I don't have those fish. again. But if it's one that I can recreate, I like that idea. Like this one, I know I probably have more of this paper. That might, with the hexagons, might be a cool idea to recreate when the page is done. I definitely want to do one with this combination of Distress Oxide because I just love it. But I really like that blueprint. Like I said, it's mostly, well, this one is Citron, blueprint, and probably some rusty hinge. It could be a little bit of the coral, but I think most of these had the rusty hinge and the fire brick. I like this fire brick too. I like the rusty hinge and the fire brick. I actually ordered 2 of the rusty hinge. So this one I left wrapped because I must have put it in my cart twice and didn't realize it. So, but that's it for me. So I'm very, very pleased with how this came out. It's how I imagined it. And I think it actually improved on this. I think was more improved. I like this pattern better than the first pattern I used. And it's definitely brighter. Let me double back through chat and see if I missed any questions. Thank you, Candy. Yeah, I like that little punch of the pattern paper. Sorry, Josie. Hi, Sue. Hennessy, if you're still here. Sometimes when my head's down, I miss chat. I agree with Lena. A moderator to read chat would be great. That's the best thing about when Colleen and Kathy stream together. They can take turns and one can kind of narrate the chat and what's going on if the other one's busy. All right, Shauna's going to stream next. So I'm going to go ahead and sign off and see y'all at Shauna's.